Well, welcome everybody. My name is Dan Vlamis. I'm the president of Analytics and Data Oracle User Community, and I'm going to serve as your host for today's TechCast. We have some opening comments we'll go through, and then we'll be joined by Phil Godfrey, and he will present his TechCast as soon as we get through some opening comments. Phil's going to be talking about data exploration made easy with Oracle Accelerated Data Science package. So I'm looking forward to this. We've had a lot of interest in this. And so let me get into a little bit of housekeeping. We do have also, by the way, some helpful links that we'll put in the chat in here so that you can click on these links for these. I won't try and read all this out, but the PDF of the presentation will be out on our website on andouc.org/techcasts. Later on, you can grab all this stuff and check out the presentation and share it with other colleagues. We are recording today's session, so if you want to look back and share that with colleagues, that will be available on the TechCast's website as well. This is in a series of TechCasts that the Analytics and Data Oracle User Community runs. We've been doing these for 5 years now, about every 2 weeks, so you'll find a plethora of various TechCast entries if you go to our andouc.org/techcasts website, and you can see them all. By the way, we would love for you to present what you're doing at your company, what you're doing with Oracle technology in the areas of analytics and data, and you can submit your own abstracts. For doing that, they are reviewed by the TechCast committee. We generally meet on Tuesdays. We'd love to have you join as part of our user community. You can see some of our upcoming ones, including one that I'll just plug real quick. On April 25th, we just covered the January release of Oracle Analytics Cloud in our favorite features. We'll be doing that again on April 25th. And that will cover the March release of OAC, which is being rolled out right now. And you'll find a bunch of these recordings on here and on our YouTube page. We also have merchandise available in our store. You can get, we are a user community, so we'd love to have you join us and spread the word about what you learn at these types of TechCasts. So check out the AnDOUC store. We're part of a user community, so you'll find information on our website at andouc.org. You can also join us on Slack. We have a community there, a workspace force, and it's broken into various channels that you can join. We also have a bunch of pre-recorded, the TechCasts are all on a YouTube channel. You can see the abbreviation for the bit.ly link there, and join us on any of our communities in LinkedIn, Facebook, tweet us or X us, whatever it's called, and talk to us there. I also want to mention we'll be getting together as a user community in person at in the Oracle Conference Center in Redwood Shores, California. You want to mark your dates for April 9th through 11th. If you're interested in these types of topics that we talk about, today's topic and future and past topics, you'll want to join us in person. Information is at www.andouc.org/AND Summit 2024. Or if you go to the homepage, you'll see it just up on the menu. There we'll be having hands-on labs where you can get your hands dirty with the data, 3 full days of material with 3 breakout sessions going on. You really should join us for this in-person event. There's nothing like it in the Oracle community that focuses specifically on analytics and data. So join us for that. With that welcome, I will also encourage you to put in the chat area. We'd love to see where you're from. Say hello to the rest of the community. You can say that in the chat, and in the Q&A area, we'd encourage you to put in the Q&A box those questions you'd like to be posed to Phil on, as he's presenting. If they are topical, I'll try and see them and interrupt, or we may wait till the end. We'll have a dedicated Q&A time at the end. So we are recording this in case you want others to join. With that, let me go ahead and welcome Phil Godfrey. He's with Vertice, and he's a senior data scientist at Vertice. He has 10 years experience working with data, from supporting finance systems to report writing to aid senior management in their decision making. More recently, Phil spent 6 years as a data scientist with the NHS Business Services Authority Data Analytics Lab. Wow, that's a mouthful. Arrived in deriving key insights from their vast data sets to improve patient, user, and customer outcomes and reduce loss in their system. So join me in welcoming Phil. Take it away, Phil.
Thanks very much, Dan. I'll just share my screen and we'll get the show on the road. Okay. If you could just let me know if you could see that, that'd be perfect.
You can see that? That's great.
Okay, perfect. So thanks for having me along. It's, I think, third or fourth time that I've been presenting at the AnDOUC, but it's always good to come along and share some knowledge with the community. So thanks everyone for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're logging in from. It's good evening for me, but I'm happy to stay on to kind of talk to you guys today. So today I'm going to talk about data exploration made easy with Oracle ADS. Very brief introduction from me. I know some of the people on the call will have seen me present already or met me in person. But for those of you who don't know, my name is Phil Godfrey. I'm a principal data analytics and AI consultant at Vertice. I've over 10 years experience working with data across various business sectors, including finance, HR and healthcare. More recently been an Oracle ACE associate, so I'm part of the Oracle ACE program, so I'd recommend that to anyone who is interested. And outside of work, I'm a keen photographer and set up a photography business as a bit of a side hustle back in January 2021, and I've got a shameless plug at the bottom there. If anyone is interested, you're more than welcome to have a look. A little bit about Vertice. So as our slogan says on the slide there, our focus is customer, data and solutions. By that, we mean customer-centric, data experts and solution-focused. We're well established. We've been around for over 14 years now and have won multiple global excellence awards with Oracle and awards for innovation. And we're all Oracle practitioners, so we all are experts in the field that we work in. In terms of the services that we offer, we're very much kind of end-to-end Oracle. So it could be the front end, which could be data analytics and AI, right the way through to the back end of database and infrastructure, and everything in between. And just to give you a quick overview of what the aim is of the session, is we're going to perform some exploratory data analysis, and we're going to use a data set which is quite common. It's a bit of a textbook data set, but it's been chosen that way for a purpose. And this is to showcase how you can use Oracle ADS to help with your exploratory data analysis. So we're going to utilize this data set. It's free, which is one of the main reasons why I wanted to use it. I always like a freebie. We're going to perform some typical EDA, so exploratory data analysis. And that's just to really delve into the data set, understand what it is, ask various questions of it. And then I'm going to show how you can use Oracle ADS to help. So like any other data science problem, we're going to use the CRISP DM methodology, which is one methodology for performing data science. And for anyone who doesn't know it, that is the cross-industry standard process for data mining. And it effectively follows this little circle here. So everything starts with a kind of a business problem or an opportunity. We'll go and collect the data if we don't have it already. We'll then look to perform some analytics to derive some insights. At this point, we've got regular feedback and a feedback loop between the customer and whoever is performing the analysis. From that, we will create some actions, which will then have some outcomes. And then we have, kind of the loop continues again. So what we're going to focus on today is the first three areas. So we're going to focus on a business problem. We're going to go and get the data, and then we're going to perform some analytics. So this analytics are the exploratory data analysis that we're going to look to do. So our business problem, imagine you've been presented with a brand new data set which you haven't seen before. As a data scientist or an analyst, I need to explore and understand it first and foremost, because if I don't understand the data set, I'm not going to answer the question. I'm not going to do a very good job. So with that in mind, various questions pop in my head at this point. It could be, what does a data set look like? How many columns or rows does it have? what are the data types? Are there any missing values that I need to be concerned about? What do I need to do with those if I find some? And that's just an example of a few things that might pop into your head. There's various other avenues that you can look to explore when you go through the exploratory data analysis, but we'll go through that together. In terms of the data, I'm utilizing the Titanic dataset. So this is freely available. We've added it in the helpful links at the top of the slide deck, and it's just taken from Kaggle. So for anyone who hasn't used Kaggle before, there's a load of free data sets there that you can kind of get your hands on. As Dan said, kind of get dirty and get your hands dirty with working through a problem. You can download that data set. It's free. And really, it's a well-known data set. So it's very much a kind of a textbook data set. And the reason behind that is it means that we can focus the session on Oracle ADS and not really worry about getting our heads around a complicated data set. There's only one file that we'll need for this, which is the train.csv. There are other files there, but we'll just focus on that for now. And you can download that as either a CSV if you want the physical copy, or you can utilize the Kaggle API. And now on to the analytics. So this is the exploratory data analysis. So this is where we get our hands dirty. We're going to be doing this in the Oracle Data Science platform. And for anyone who isn't aware of it or hasn't used it before, it's a Jupyter Lab-based environment, and it allows data scientists to experiment and develop models. So that's perfect what we need it for. Within Jupyter Lab, you can write code in Python. There's a variety of open source libraries there. There's just a few mentioned here. So Pandas is one. They've got scikit-learn, Keras, NumPy, TensorFlow, and a few other things as well. And I suppose that the key one that we're going to focus on today is that it comes pre-packaged with Oracle Accelerated Data Science, or ADS for short. A little bit about Oracle ADS. I won't touch on this too much because we'll obviously be going through it in a bit more detail. But really, it speeds up common data science activities, which is what I'm looking to showcase today. I won't go through them all. I'll be focusing very much on the data exploration side, but you can work all the way through the data science, ML flow, kind of the machine learning pipeline. So by all means, feel free to take a look. I've also added in the helpful links to the documentation. So if you do want to follow this up and look at anything, you've got a particular use case that you need to use it for, feel free to have a poke around there. It's a really, really well documented documentation, which isn't often the case. So I would recommend you take a look. So now we're going to jump into the data science platform. The first thing you want to do in the data science platform is install what's known as a Conda environment. So a Conda environment is just a pre-packaged environment which has a number of base libraries there to do some common functionality. And so to access that, you want to navigate to the Environment Explorer, and you will see a list of published Conda environments. So these are updated and published by Oracle, and they get updated on a regular basis. And we're going to identify one that we're going to use today, which is just Oracle AutoML and Model Exploration for Python. And what you can do is it's really as simple as you can quickly copy this command, swap out to the terminal. So we just paste in this little line of code there, run that. That'll go and install the Conda environment and go and fetch it for you. And then all we need to do is activate the Conda. So you just do that by Conda activate, pass in the path of where your Conda environment is saved, and then that will just be ready to use. And we can get on with the exploratory data analysis. So first things first, we've got our Conda environment set up. We're in data science. We've got a notebook session there already. We need to import the packages. So we're going to import Pandas, and we're going to import ADS, which is the Oracle ADS package. And what we're going to do for the purpose of the demo, we just utilize the CSV. So we're just going to read in that train.csv file here. As with any new data set, once you've loaded it, you might want to take a look at it. So you can do that using the head or the tail function. So a head function just gives us the first 5 rows, and the tail function gives us the bottom 5. This is really helpful, one, to make sure that you've loaded the data in correctly, and two, it just gives you a really quick view of what the data looks like. So we can see we've got passenger ID, which looks to be a number. We've got a survived column, which is either ones or zeros, so that's probably going to be some kind of classification. We've got some text. We've got different types of fields, so we get an idea of what your data set looks like. We can take that one step further by using the describe function. So this describe function is part of Pandas, and it gives us this nice descriptive statistics table. So we can see right away we get a number of key features about the data set. So we get a count, so we can see there's 891 rows in the data set. I can see I've got some missing values already because I have some missing values for age. We can get all kinds of other statistics, so we know that the mean age is 29. So we're going to get some key insights already. But that's like a really useful start in exploring any new data set. Next thing is we might want to check for missing values. So we'd identified in the last step that we had some missing ages. And what we can do is, for this, I've created a function. And this is going to draw a table, which is on the right-hand side here. There's a lot of code here, and it looks a bit daunting, but it's relatively straightforward. What we want to do is identify any missing values. So we get the absolute values here, but also include a percentage. So the percentage helps to give us context. So we know, the 687 cabin that are missing, but what is that? What is 687? Is it a lot? Is it not a lot? Is it something to be concerned about, not concerned about? But I can see it's actually 77% of the values are missing. So that gives me some context, which can then aid what we decide to do with it going forward. As well as a describe function, Pandas also includes a group by function. So this group by operator is really quite useful. It provides all kinds of different functions. So we can count, we can sum, we can give the mean, median, all kinds of things in terms of like statistics. So for this, we essentially just pass in the group by function. We'll pass in the field that we want and whatever function we want to do. So we might want to sum by sex, which we do here, or we might want to count by sex. As well as that, we can take that one step further and we can actually pass in multiple variables or features into this group by. So we can look at survived or passenger ID as an example and get, some figures that way. So we can start to really dig a little deeper into this data set and get our heads around, what information is telling us. Next step in your data analysis is probably some visualizations. So this visualization, there's various options available. And so we're going to use two packages at the moment, which is really common. We're going to import the Seaborn package and Matplotlib, which is pyplot. So these are really two kind of common libraries. And you'll often find that visualizations can actually give us some additional insights just by viewing the data and understanding it that way. So we're going to create some visualizations. So we're going to have a chunk of code on the left-hand side here, which produces this chart. So we get, we look at the number of passengers that survived or didn't survive by frequency and by age. And what we can do here is we get a really quick insight that there's a lot more younger passengers appear to have survived than those who didn't survive. And that might give us some context or some early insight into the data set. So it is more likely that as the Titanic is sinking, that they were given the command to let women and children leave first. So there might be some truth in that, looking at the data just by visualizing it. So we get really quick insights there just by visualizing the data. And we can also show multiple plots at the same time using something called facet grid. So again, we've got another chunk of code. I won't go through exactly what it's doing in detail, but we're going to plot survival by gender, age and fare, and we're going to split it out by males and females. So we get a really deep insight now into the types of exploratory data analysis that you can do. And we're using all kinds of different plots. So we're using a scatter plot here, but we could use a violin plot, a heat map, whatever's most appropriate for what we're looking to do. And they're very customizable. So we can set colors, we can change the palettes, we can set margin titles, so on and so on. But what we find is for all of that code, so we're going to look at the missing data function. We've got another chunk of code to do our plots. We've got another chunk of code to do our facet grid. There's a lot of code that we're writing here just to perform some basic EDA. And what you'll find is it can take a long time to do it, and you might actually throw away a lot of this code. So there's a lot of time spent, time and effort, to try and get some kind of insights from your data, which may or may not be useful. But I suppose the good news is, by nature, the exposure data analysis can be very time consuming, but this is where Oracle ADS can help. So this is the kind of gem that I want to talk about today, and how Oracle ADS can help. And I'm going to take you through exactly how that can help. There's various functions within Oracle ADS which assist data scientists or data analysts to kind of get these early insights really quickly and easily. And I'm going to show you just how easy they are to do. The first function we're going to talk about is something called Show in Notebook. And what this does is it gives us a preview of all the basic information about the data set. So I've created a little video, which I'll take you through in a second. But just to talk you through, all we do is import the library, so import ADS. From ADS Dataset Factory, we're going to import Dataset Factory. This is required because what we needed to do is to essentially translate our data frame that we've got already into a Dataset Factory to be able to be read and interpreted by Oracle ADS. And this is all we need to do. Dead easy. A little note about Dataset Factory: it can be a little bit slower than simply just reading in the same dataset with Pandas. And the only reason is because there's the added data visualizations and profiling that it does in the background can slow it down. So just to kind of make you aware of that, because we're using a really light demo, it loads really quickly, and it should be the case for your dataset, but just bear that in mind in case it isn't. So onto the little video. So we're in the data science notebook here, and we're going to use the show in notebook function. So I've pre-recorded this so you can see in real time how quickly you can get to work with this. So I'll just play this. So we're going to import our library. We're going to convert our dataset to a dataset factory to be able to use the show in notebook function. Right, so that's run. So what this gives us, I'm just going to quickly pause this. This gives us 4 key features. It gives us a summary. It gives us some features, correlations, and warnings. So I'm just going to take you through what this tells us. In the summary, it gives us a quick shape of what the dataset looks like. So we know we've got 891 rows and 12 columns. A lot of this you'll probably recognize from the exploratory data analysis we've done already, but that is the beauty of Oracle ADS and the show in notebook function. That it's nothing. There will be new information here, but we can see, things that we found out already. So that's good. We can see the 891 rows and 12 columns. We've got 6 categorical features, 4 ordinal features, and 2 continuous. So we'll recognize something like this. So this is a bit like our describe function, where we get all of our features and we get counts, frequencies, mean, standard deviation, all kinds of stats that might be interesting to understand. And it creates a visualization for all of the features. So we look at survived, true or false. We look at the class of the ticket, so whether they were in first, second, or third. We have a box plot there by age, so that's quite interesting. So we can see straight away, if we look at the median, it's about 29, which is what we found out earlier. But we've got some outliers, so we've got some extreme data points that we might want to consider or do something about. So there's an initial insight straight away. We've got various things by ticket. We've got similar by fare, so we can see we've got a lot of outliers there. We might want to do something about those. If we move into the correlations, it plots them out to get the correlation between the 2 variables. So because all of our data is continuous, we don't have anything in category, but if we did have categories, it would appear there. So that's kind of really quick and easy to use. And we also have some warnings. So warnings are quite interesting. So I'm just going to pause that there. If you remember from the beginning of the slide deck, we identified that age had some missing values from our missing data function. And we can see here that showing notebook has done exactly that. It has told us that there are 177 missing values for age. And we can get some of the key insights as well. So name has high cardinality. So every value is distinct. So that may or may not be relevant for the analysis that we want to do. Ticket is the same, and so is cabin. And we can see cabin, as we know already, around 3/4 of the data set is missing. So we might want to do something with that. And it tells us, consider removing the column or replacing the null values. So it thinks we should do something with it. So just to summarize showing notebook, it gives us all this information on this right-hand side. So it gives us a number of rows and columns. It gives us some visualizations of all the features we've got. It'll tell us about the correlations and what the data types we're working with, any feature types, but also any warnings. And that warnings bit is particularly interesting. So now we move on to the next function, which is suggest recommendations. And this is a built-in function to help with data cleaning. And as before, like the show a notebook function, it runs in one line of code. So we'll just walk you through this. Okay. Right, so there we go. We can see our suggest recommendations function. Can just run directly afterwards. So remember those null values we were just talking about there. Suggest recommendations takes this one step further, and it, the showing notebook said, you've got some missing values. I think you should do something with them. Well, this is where suggest recommendations comes into its own, and it does exactly what it says on the tin. It suggests something to do with it. So we'll use age as the example. We can see it contains 19%, nearly 20% missing values. The variable is age, and it'll give us various actions that we could do. We could drop the column. We could fill in the missing value with the mean, the median, most frequent, or a constant. Or we could simply do nothing and just leave it as it is. Now, when we look at this, suggest recommendations suggests that we should actually fill the missing value with the mean. So any null ages we should fill in with the mean. So that's good to know. And for passenger ID, because it contains mostly unique values, it says we should drop it because it's of no use to what we want to do. So, I suppose where it's helpful is it gives us these suggestions. It doesn't mean we need to take them because there might be a very good reason why we want to keep passenger ID in. But it'll look at the features that we've provided in the data set and suggest us something to do with it. So it might be like a really good starting point to kind of progress going forward. So showing notebook we've talked about, which identified some warnings, suggest recommendations, took these steps one step further and then suggest us what we can do with it. So fill in missing values of the mean for age as an example. Now, there's two ways we could do this. We could take the manual approach and take all those recommendations or some of those recommendations and apply them in like a data cleaning script. And that would be fine. In some cases, that might actually be required and you might want to do it manually. But there's also a way that you can do it programmatically, and this is via ADS. So there's another function here called auto transform, which we'll talk about. And what that does in a nutshell is takes all of those transformations that have been suggested in suggest recommendations and applies it. So we get a transformed data set. So again, you'll notice the theme. It's one line of code. It's really straightforward to do. And we're going to run auto transform. So bearing in mind, we've got these passenger ID we're going to drop. Age, we're going to fill in the missing values of the mean. Cabin, we're going to drop. And embarked, we're going to fill in the missing values of the most frequent. So that's ran. And we're going to use something else called visualize transforms. So visualize transforms essentially showcases what auto transform has done. So this is, we can see we start with 891 rows and 10 columns. which is what our base data set was. It's going to fix some column names. It's going to convert some columns. And what we're going to do is drop passenger ID. We're going to fill in the missing values with the mean in age, and it's going to tell us what the missing value is, what the mean value is, sorry. We're going to drop cabin, and it's going to fill in the missing value with the most frequent in embarked, and it's going to tell us what that is. And this has taken all of those recommendations and applying it for us without any need for any manual intervention. So when we look at our transformed Titanic dataset, which we've created, we can see now that we don't have passenger ID and we don't have cabin, because we know they've been dropped from the previous step. And if we run our missing data function that we created earlier on against our transformed dataset, we can see that we actually don't have any missing values now, which is great. So we know that age has given the mean and embarked has given the most frequent. And again, as always, it runs in one line of code, which is the beauty of this function. It's so easy to use. I find it really, really, really useful. The visualize transforms is particularly useful because we can visually see what it's doing. And where this is particularly useful is, when you think of if you need to explain to senior management, we've performed these data cleaning and enrichments on our data set. Okay, that's great, but what have you done? And we can show, straight away. We've dropped passenger ID, we fill in the missing values of the mean, we've dropped cabin, and we filled in the embarked column with the most frequent. So this could be used as a kind of an audit of this is what's happened to our data set when we've been kind of exploring it and transforming it. But also it could be useful if you ever need to recreate it. So just a quick summary of what we've covered in Oracle ADS. We've used the show in notebook function, which gives us a comprehensive preview of the dataset's basic information. We've then used suggest recommendations, which identifies any issues that it's been flagged from the warnings in the previous step and provides a potential solution on how you could work around that. We've then used the auto transform feature, which takes all those recommendations and applies them automatically without any need for intervention. And then we've got the visualize transforms, which is the visual representation of the transformations that have happened in the previous step. So as the name suggests, so Oracle ADS is Oracle Accelerated Data Science. And it would be rude of me to not finish this session by giving you some ways that I've accelerated data science myself. And that is with a number of shortcuts that I found really useful in terms of keyboard shortcuts in the Oracle Data Science service. And there's a few favorites that, if you don't use them already, you might want to try. If you want to go into the Oracle Live Lab for data science, you could test some of these out as well and let me know what you think. And I'll just go another video just to quickly show you these keyboard shortcuts. So we have Control and Enter, and that runs the current cell that we're in.
So I'm going to interrupt for just a moment and have you go back through this in just a moment. But wanted to let people know, if you have any questions, get them in. Sometimes I find that at the end, people don't have a time to type all the questions to ask. So people put the questions in the Q&A widget, and we'll try and address them at the end. Phil, go ahead. Sorry about the interruption.
No problem. Thanks, Dan. Okay. Right. So keyboard shortcuts that I find particularly useful. Control and Enter runs the current cell, so we can see that's ran. Shift and Enter is very similar, but what that will do is it runs the current cell and then takes you down to the next one, which is particularly helpful if you want to carry on writing some code. So we can see we've moved down. We can press Alt and Enter, which runs the current cell and puts a new cell below. There we go. So we can put some code in there if we wanted to, but I'm just going to delete that for now. We can press Control and / to comment or uncomment the selected cell. This one's really helpful, by the way. If you use any, I would use this one. It's my personal favorite. Use it all the time. And then we can just run that So that will run as a comment and it'll disappear. Okay, so we can use escape and that converts the current cell to a markdown cell. So if we want to just write some text, we can do that. So we can see it's currently a code cell, but it's changed to markdown. So if we run that, it will print in the output. And we can go the other way, press escape and Y, and that converts the current cell to a code cell. There we go, dead easy. So there are a few of my favorite keyboard shortcuts. If anyone has any others that I've missed that I need to know about, feel free to put it in the Q&A or drop me an email. But I'm always, one for sharing shortcuts. It makes everyone's life easier. And if anyone wants to quickly screen grab that, I've just left them up on screen. If you want to get a screen grab, feel free to do so. And with that, that is all I had today. So if anyone has any questions in the Q&A, happy to field those now.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate you presenting on all of this. This is great, and I will really add to our library of interesting information. I did get a offline comment from somebody saying, "Hey, this is great. They're going to check it out later." So that's one of the reasons we record the webinars, to make this available for people. We'll also make the slides available, so things like the keyboard shortcuts, people can grab that off of the PDF of the slides. So we will have that up on the TechCast site. I'll repeat again, if people have questions, put it in the Q&A widget, and then we'll try and go through that. Let me go ahead and mention the Analytics and Data Summit is an upcoming conference. If you are interested in this type of information, you should really look at joining us at that conference. We will be we'll have sessions on these types of topics, and would love to see you there. Share my screen real quick, just to show what that looks like. So join us at Analytics and Data Summit, andouc.org/AND Summit 2024 for more information. Phil, I want to thank you for presenting on this, and we will look forward to your next webcast. Put that in the TechCast channel, and we'll look at having another one of these TechCasts on similar topics. Oh, I do have one question for you, just to get things plumbing. Yep. The way you interacted with this, where it showed the results as you kind of entered stuff, looks like the notebook technology that I'm familiar with from machine learning. Can you contrast what this environment is like with the offering you were looking at versus the notebook technology?
Yeah, very similar in terms of the notebook technology. What's really nice about the data science platform is you've got the different types of code cells that you can use. So you've got like code, markdown, and raw. So what I find particularly useful in the data science notebook session is I can group everything together. So if I'm working on a data science project, I can put the actual code itself to run. I can put accompanying text with that. I can put images in there in Markdown, and essentially share one full report and code in one go. That is the kind of beauty of that, is if I want to share that with a team member or share it with management to present findings, we've used both. So big plus point for the
way to organize. There are capabilities in the ADS platform to organize the information that helps. Okay.
Definitely.
And you can share that amongst various colleagues and such.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Well, I don't see any other questions in the Q&A, but I do appreciate you joining us, and we'll look forward to your next TechCast. Thank you, Phil.
Thanks very much for having me. Thanks very much.